I get like an occult kind of vibe from it, so I'm imagining like skulls and secret sacrifices or some weird shit like that. Leigh Bardugo is a goth bitch, so I kind of want to channel that. Lately, I've been feeling like an art hoe. For this video, I am going to redesign the book cover for Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. I figured this might be fitting since the book is being released this month and it's very highly anticipated. So I'm going to be showing you how I designed two different versions of the book cover, including the front and the back. Originally, I was going to film myself designing like in real time and commenting at the same time, but I realized that I don't have enough brain cells to multitask like that, because when I tried to record myself designing, I was just silent the whole time. I'm not capable of thinking and speaking at the same time. What we're gonna do is just watch the screen recordings together. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention this, but I also started sketching out a few ideas yesterday for what the two different covers could look like. Clearly, I am not an artist because it just looks like chicken scratch. I'm not good at drawing, so I wasn't even trying to attempt that, but I just wanted to jot down like the basic idea of what the composition would look like. So for the first attempt, I am going to try to still incorporate the snake. This blob over here is supposed to represent a snake with flowers sticking out of it. And then these two boxes are supposed to represent flowers, but I was too lazy to draw flowers, so I just drew boxes instead. That's basically my drawing skills in a nutshell. So let's see how this chicken scratch will translate onto Photoshop. The original cover is black with a snake on it, and I decided to kind of inverse it a little bit for my rendition by having a white background with a snake on it. Here I'm using a picture of a concrete wall for texture, and then I added, I don't know, like a period stain or whatever, so that there's like a focal point for you to look at before I put a snake on top of it. Here I am kind of looking through the different plants that I can use, because this snake needs a friend, you know? Sister Snake wants to look pretty with all these flowers. So I was looking through these flowers and I was thinking, if I were a secret society, what kind of bouquet would I pick out? So I tried to use the flowers as like decorated pieces on the side, and then once I started putting in the text for the title Ninth House, I realized that the flowers were gonna get in the way. I feel like I did things out of order, where obviously I should have put the title first and then tried to figure out where the decorative pieces would go, but I did it backwards because I don't know, my whole life is backwards, I guess. And then I added like a little subtitle on top just to fill in the space. I saw in some of the promotions that Leigh Bardugo has, there's some slogan where it says, "Leave the dead to the dead, turn your eyes to the living." So I decided that would be kind of like a cool slogan to put on top, fill in the space. I pretty much had the composition ready. It was more so just tweaking where I want the plants to be and fixing the letters. I spent a really long time trying to figure out what the fuck to do with the letters, because obviously I was using a warp effect to try to make sure that they were going around the circle in like an arc motion, but that distorted a lot the letters and that just didn't look right to me. Okay, it looks like I ignored the fact that it was bothering me and tried to move on to something else, which is just adding more decorative pieces towards the end to fill it up more. And then after that, I went back to try to fix the letters. Yeah, the H was really bothering me, so I had to get rid of that H and then manually distort the H in order to make it fit with the rest of the word. And then same thing for the E. Okay, it looks like I gave up and then started moving on to the back cover. I wanted to continue the floral theme over the back, so I'm looking through all of the flower sketches that I have and trying to figure out what is the best one to represent this evil secret society that I know nothing about. Originally, I was gonna have like 2 tiles of flowers and one of them was gonna be upside down, but I ended up choosing just one picture as the focal point and then having the Latin text up on top and then the English translation upside down instead. This was another quote that I found from the book called Mors Vincit Omnia, which apparently, according to Google Translate, means death conquers all. I know, what an edgy book. I still kind of felt like the back cover looked a little bit empty, so I started adding some red blobs just to kind of fill up the space. I don't know, this was kind of like an experimentation kind of thing, so I basically took these circles and I tried to warp warp it so that they would become more interesting shapes. I ended up not liking the blobs in the corners at all, so I ended up pretty much scaling it way bigger and then using them as borders instead. I started messing with the scale of the borders. I still didn't like how it was overpowering the whole thing, so then I tried to, edge it out a little bit more to tone it down a little bit. I just wanted like red accents to be consistent with the red circle on the front cover, but not be the whole thing. And now I'm done. So here is my first rendition of what an alternate cover for Ninth House could look like. For this first rendition, I still wanted to use the snake imagery because when the cover for Ninth House got released, that was around the same time that a lot of other YA book covers were released that also had the same black snake. I was trying to think about how to differentiate the book cover a little bit more that would still use the snake, but still incorporates other elements that would give you an idea of the mood of the book. From the synopsis, it's basically about secret societies at Yale, so I think that it should be ominous, but very elegant at the same time because it's this prestigious school. Not too bad. I think that I would change a few things looking back at it now. Like I probably would have dialed back on the red and made that circle smaller so that it looks less like a period clot. But sometimes real life spills into the art that you make. I don't think it's too bad. I think that there's like an elegant feeling to it, which is something that I was hoping to evoke from this cover rendition. This is basically like if a Tumblr emo bitch graduated to Yale University. That's the aesthetic that we're going for here. If I had more time, I would have tweaked it more, but I had to move on to the second rendition of the cover because we're here for quantity, not quality, okay? For the second cover, I decided that I would not use the snake symbol at all. Instead, it was gonna be more of like a decorative piece with some symbols for like what a secret society would have. I get like an occult kind of vibe from it, so I'm imagining like skulls and secret sacrifices or some weird shit like that. Leigh Bardugo is a goth bitch, so I kind of want to channel that, which means an all black cover. For a while, I was trying to figure out what kind of texture to use because I saved all these random images of like black and white plaid textiles or like black brush paint, and I was trying to see what they would look like as the background. Ultimately, I think these textures looked too busy for what I was trying to do, that I ended up actually using the same gray concrete image that I used in the first cover, but I just inverted it so that it would be black, and then I lowered down the brightness. That way it's like a subtle texture and it's not so busy and crazy like the first few things I tried out. The reason why I didn't want it to be busy is because I was gonna use a frame set on top of it. Lately, I've been really liking the collector's editions that you see for different YA books like City of Bones, Six of Crows, The Hazelwood. There's like this cool minimalist line art style. It's like simple but ornate at the same time. There was gonna be a skull on top as like the logo or whatever. I didn't like any of the skull images that I had. I felt like the line art for the skull didn't really match the rest of the line art for the linear frame. I swapped it out for an eyeball instead because it's a much simpler icon instead of like a skull. And eyeball, Illuminati. I grabbed this sketch of an eyeball and then I also had to bump up the stroke of the eyeball too so that it would match the same width of the rest of the frame around it. Here, I'm trying to play around with different fonts to use for a Ninth House. I realized that there was too much white going on, that there was no depth to it. I started toggling around with the different opacities of what the frames could be and what the eyeball could be, but ultimately, I wanted Ninth House, the title, to be the whitest thing that you see because that should be the main thing that you see. Now I am moving on to the back cover, and I had this idea for what to do with the back cover that I wanted to try in a grid style. From the synopsis, it seems like there's these 8 doors, but then it's called Ninth House, which means that maybe there's actually a 9th door or some shit like that. Again, I'm designing for a book that I know nothing about, so I'm really just guessing and pulling stuff out of my ass right now. If there are 9 houses, what if the back cover started counting up to 9? I'm gonna use some imagery in the back cover as well, so I wanna make sure that the font at least matches matches what the images look like. Basically just imagery that would imply that you are joining a secret cult that probably sacrifices virgins or some shit like that. So I used a skull to represent 9 because I'm assuming that whatever the 9th house or 9th door or whatever is, that's probably the most significant and the most dangerous. So I'm gonna use a skull here. For the number 1, I substituted with a candle doodle instead because you can't have a secret meeting with your cult without using candles. The number 5, I used a hand because there are 5 fingers in a hand. I know, I'm a fucking genius. What can I say? Now we're done. Here is the finished product for the second rendition. This one does not use any snake symbolism at all, just some good old simple occult imagery like your local secret society would want. I feel like this is the kind of design that would be good for a collector's edition of 9th House. Let me know which cover you like best, the white one or the black one. I don't think it was too bad considering the fact that I just threw this together really quickly. So if Leigh Bardugo wants an actual good cover, then she needs to sponsor me first. But you know who did sponsor me for this video? Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of classes covering dozens of creative and business skills. Premium membership gives you unlimited access so you can join the classes and communities that are just right for you. Skillshare is also incredibly affordable when you compare it to in-person classes and workshops. An annual subscription is less than $10 a month. If you really liked watching me work on designing these book covers, then the class that I would recommend to you is one that is called Introduction to Book Cover Design by Chip Kidd. Chip Kidd is a really famous graphic designer who's known for creating book covers that you have probably seen before. I think his most prolific one is Haruki Murakami's books. This guy is a legend, so it's really cool that he has his own class. He goes through the history of book design, typography best practices, and his own personal design philosophy. In the class, you get to develop concepts and sketches for your book, and you get to incorporate key design elements to make your book covers stand out. This really goes to show that Skillshare has a class for everything, because I worked on these covers before I even checked to see if Skillshare had a class that was relevant to this. But they do. They have a class for literally everything. So if you want to see an actual professional designer work on book covers, then check out that class instead. I have a link in the description for 2 months of free classes. Don't forget to unsubscribe from my channel, and goodbye. When you're on board, you let them